He's okay, he had to fall so long. John, you left to pray.
Okay, Torah Miketz Lamed Gimel, bottom of the first column. Now, the Rebbe is explaining the difference between a magnifying glass, which you see straight or yashar in a magnified way, versus a mirror that you basically can only see return, and that's also only because it's a thin covering. To be a thick covering, you won't be able to do it. So he says, so even though l'cha'era, which one is greater? L'cha'era aspaklaya ha'me'ira is greater, right? Because it's a magnifying glass. He says, amnam yesh b'aspaklaya sheina mira, in this aspaklaya, which is not, in other words, not a magnifying glass, but a mirror. Yeshmaila echad gavoya b'madrega. There's something that a mirror has that a magnifying glass doesn't have, and that is that not only can you see yourself, there's asmi gam liris mi achudav kidua ma sheinichel liris b'aspaklaya me'ira. That's like the expression, you want to look over your shoulders to see what you are. In other words, where your level is and what's behind you, that a magnifying glass is not going to do. That's the concept of Eretz Kodma. In other words, there's a level of Shamayim first, which Shamayim represents the Gilui of Aspaklaya Me'ira, the magnifying glass, and then you have Eretz, which symbolizes or the returning, the mirror. And he says that's why there's one level that Eretz is first, and one level is Shamayim first, and so on. And this is what the Gemara answers in Yevamis, a contradiction of two psukim. Because what Yeshaya says, Eretz Hashem. Okay? Yeshaya says, I saw God. Another pasuk says, a person can't see me. So the Gemara asks the question, how could Yeshaya say he saw Hashem when the pasuk in Kisisa says a person cannot see Hashem? He says that's aspaklaya she'ena me'ira sheba yochaliris es Hashem. A Yeshaya Navi, what his vision of Hashem was a low level of a vision, the mirror, not the magnifying glass of Moshe Rabbeinu. Mashenkin aspaklaya me'ira. Sorry, aspaklaya me'ira. Over there it says k'lo yirani, a person cannot see me. Inyan aspaklaya d'lei nahodo. And this level of aspaklaya that doesn't shine, not the magnifying glass, that's the level of chol me'idecha, the infinite level, meaning like this. Neshama l'mayla, neshama Gan Eden, sees God, magnifying glass. Okay? The neshama down here doesn't see Hashem. You have to take the physical world and make the physical world holy. But what's the purpose of the neshama coming down into the world? To reach a level it couldn't have reached before. Right? That's the advantage of aspaklaya she'ena me'ira, Eretz Kodma. That means how? By taking the physical objects that come from a super high source and elevating to Kedusha. He says, as b'chol meidahainu, in yadi desan neshama b'guf, the coming down of the neshama in the body, which is yitzi yadi the chaliyah, the descent for the sake of elevation. Lahapich nefesh habamis, to transform the nefesh habamis. What is that? Taking world and elevating world to Kedusha. By day, b'chinis is kafi v'sapchi. B'chol meidecha b'ligvol. L'mayla min ha'keli. And by breaking one's nature and elevating the world, of nimshach momale gamke. Shalei keseda v'derech ishtaushus meir elyon. Hashem reacts to the way we act. That's an old rule, right? Hashem reacts to the way we act. When a person breaks his nature and doing a mitzvah. I mean, he doesn't want to do it, then he doesn't. We're not talking about super high levels either. A guy is not in the mood of doing it, and he does it anyway. That breaking of his nature, the way he acted, causes Hashem to react for Kaviyach Hashem to break his nature. Now, the nature, so to speak, is to limitation. You reveal limited. You can't be, Hashem normally doesn't reveal infinite to limited, because that's not the normal way of doing things. When a person breaks his nature, Kaviyachal, Hashem breaks his nature. What is the nature that Hashem breaks? He's able to, he could do whatever he wants. He reveals the infinite into the finite. And that's the level B'chol Meidecha. B'chol Meidecha means with all your might. What does it mean, all your might? So Rashi, with all your money, and the simple interpretation is, you go above and beyond Levavcha Chol Nafshecha, your heart and soul. You go above nature. When you go above nature, B'chol Meidecha, your limitation. And by the way, for one person it could mean learning 6 minutes a day, another person could mean 23 hours a day. Whatever their nature is that they have to break, that's why it said B'chol Ma'idecha. There's no B'chol Ma'idchem.
It's a never-ending story.
Thank you for waking up and smelling the coffee.
I'm sorry.
When you enter the beauty, there is no limit. You keep on going into it more and more and more.
Once you reach the infinite, and the more you break yourself, I don't mean bring yourself like, just, I'm not in the mood, and you do it, so that's breaking your nature. So Kaviyachol, Hashem reacts. Mida keneged mida.
React, when you say react, it connotes somewhat of the...
I don't hear you.
When you say reaction, it connotes anger or...
I didn't say that. No.
Or
If you,
immature
one
response.
second, you do kindness to me and I react with kindness, that's anger?
No, but you were talking about in the context of when somebody fails or somebody...
No, I'm not. Here I'm talking about when you act in a way of breaking your nature. You do something you don't want to do. Or something which is above your nature. Your nature, your comfort zone. In simple English today it's called comfort zone. Comfort zone is what your nature is. When a person breaks that comfort zone, Hashem Kaviyachol breaks his comfort zone. And then, that's the concept you need to Tzorech Aliyah. Because then the neshama gets a level of godliness that the neshama didn't have from the magnifying glass of Gan Eden. Then you get it from the mirror that you see a higher level. As I nimshach Maamar gamken shleike seide v'derech gestalt meir elyon. Ve'ezeu aspaklaya delei nehera. That is the non-shining magnified, meaning the mirror. Hainu aidei dovan masach mavdil. Dafke through a covering. Again, a mirror can only reflect if there's a thing covering in the back. If there's no covering in the back, it doesn't reflect. So there needs to be a difficulty, there needs to be a blockage, and then the blockage allows you to, you can start a fire with a mirror. You can take it in a certain position and reflect the sunlight. It's stronger than the regular sunlight.
Not mirror, magnifying.
Huh?
The magnifying, not mirror.
I mean, yeah, but you could do it with the, any glass.
Several mirrors, yes.
Okay. No, I'm saying the mirror reflects the light at a certain angle. You could do it also.
Rabbi, does some parts of the neshama change? The spiral up getting better?
Of course.
That makes the...
Yechida can get better. Yechida could be more revealed.
With our action, right? Being that today is the first day of Tanya, so that means the goof is much stronger than the neshama because it's
Correct.
changing our actions.
That's the whole vart, that the body is higher than the soul.
That's what the Rebbe is saying here, changing the...
Only through the body can you accomplish that.
Here.
Well, there's no body up there.
Right.
The body, because in essence, the body is greater than the soul. The lower it fell, the greater it is.
It's the Yechida that doesn't change. The other parts will change.
Yechida could become more revealed.
Part of Hashem.
Huh?
Which is part of it.
Yeah, but it could be more revealed.
Yes.
In Bata Tetzava, remember the Rebbe explains, V'yikcho elecha, so Moshe Rabbeinu connecting the Jews to Hashem, right? It becomes V'yikcho elecha, Moshe Rabbeinu becomes greater. Sheish meyes elef ragli asher nechi bekirbei. Through the Jews' defeat, Moshe Rabbeinu becomes greater. Moshe Rabbeinu is Yechida. Right? But even that level could become greater. More revealed. Okay, but so therefore it needs to have this little concealment. Okay, ein adavar master masach of shul master legamri, but it can't be. A mirror doesn't work if it's a thick, thick covering. Rak yachol is kafi l'sitrach. Only what you could break and transform. Azay nasa miza or chayzer. Then it becomes the returning light through the covering. It becomes a new light, but never existed before. In other words, a reflected light never existed before. Until you do it, until you make it happen. Then you could see something that you couldn't do before, that you could see even behind you. A magnifying glass does not allow you to see behind you. When you have this blockage in the mirror, that allows you to see even behind you that you were never able to see before. You're only able to see frontwards. Now you can see backwards. After you transform the nefesh habamas, through the level of breaking your nature, then that level of kedusha that you accomplished down here, the neshama never had before. You created a new thing for the neshama. By breaking evil, like it says in Zaya and is brought down Basilagani, is talik yikar de kutshebrichu le'elo le'elo. Hashem is revealed more and more, umer shalei apisei d'ishtaushlis, and that's called as perklaya d'lei nahara. See, the Alter Rebbe is explaining, even though a magnifying glass seemingly is much greater than a mirror, but dafka through a mirror and the blockage, do you reach a level that you wouldn't have been able to reach without in the magnifying glass. At the beginning of Parshas Kadeshim, it says, Kadeshim to you, ki kodesh ani Hashem. You should be holy because I am holy. So the Medrash says, it says, Kadeshim to you, you should be holy because I am holy. So the simple Medrash says, Yachol Kamaini, you think you could be as great as me? No. Kedushasi l'mayla mikdushaschem. My kedusha is greater than yours. That is the simple meaning of the Medrash. That there's a question and an answer. Yeah? The pasuk says, be holy because I'm holy, so you would think maybe you could be as holy as God. So God says, no, I'm holier than you. That's the simple answer. The Maggid interpreted, you're saying this today, the Maggid interpreted not as a question, as a statement. And this is phenomenal. Kedushasi yachol kamaini. You could be like me. Not, you think you could be like, no, the Medrash says, yachol kamaini, you could be like me, Hashem says. Why? Because kedushasi l'mayla. My kedusha up there is me kedusha aschem, from your kedusha. Which means the Jews allow Hashem abisi, because he set it up that way, not because we have that. Hashem gave us the power to say, my kedusha is dependent on you. Your neshama, me, my neshama, part of Hashem, wants to become greater. It's up to you. Yachol kameini, you could be as great as me. But now the Rebbe says pshita, of course, and that's what it says, kedushaschem asher kedushanu. V'nei deshakeset kolom mi beis partzufim. There's two parts of keset, atik and arich. Chaim bechinas atik, which is called tachteina shebamaitzel, I'll explain in a second. Or bechinas arich ampin, which is sheish and etzalim, and that's what it says, yachol kameini. Okay, meaning like this. There is the body of the person, right? The way why is a person created in the image? Why is a person in the image of God, and a cow isn't, a dog isn't? So it says because in kedusha, seichel is higher than midas. Okay, intellect is higher than midas. Seichel stimulates midas. So by a person is created in the image of God, that's why the head is on top of the rest of the body. The head is on top of the heart because intellect is above emotions. Okay, then you have the lower extremities. It is, by nature. We can mess it up. But a person is born in the image of God. Animals, animals on the other hand, are all flat. The head, the rest of the body is on the same level. Now, so you have in Kedusha, Seichel and Midas, Chochmah Bina Das, Chesed V'Tzvah Malchus, that's the mind and the heart. Then you have the level of Kesed. That we learned, the 620 mitzvahs are this Kesed, 620, the Tzarach Amudei Erd. Now, a crown is on top of the head. Now, the crown has in it, again, there's no crown up there. You know, there's no big, like Queen Elizabeth, whatever. A crown. It's the concept of a crown. What's the concept of a crown? A concept of a crown is it lays on top of the head. It's on top of the head. But there's two parts of the crown. Take a hat, yeah? You have the part of... I'm shaking tape. You have part of the hat or the crown that fits on the head. It's on top of the head, but it fits on the head. It's touching the head. Then you have the higher part of the crown where the jewels are. That's above it. It's not touching the head. So in Kabbalah it says that the level of Kesed is the mamutza, the intermediary between the Yid and Hashem. In other words, in order for Hashem, not in order, the way Hashem reveals himself into the world begins with Chochmah, Bina, and Das. Atzilus is 10 Sfiras. Bria is 10 Sfiras. It all begins with the 10 Sfiras. In order for Elokus to come, so to speak, into the 10 Sfiras, he needs an intermediary connecting the infinite with the finite. That is the level of Kesed. That's the concept of the crown. Now, we said in the crown there's two levels. There's the part that's touching the head, and there's the part above the head. Therefore, in Kesed, in Kedusha, there's two levels. There's a level that's connected to the 10 Sfiras, and there's a level which is above the 10 Sfiras. In Kabbalah language, they're called Ze'er Amin Arich Ampin, which literally means a long face, and Atik literally means removed from days. Atik means a maitakodim, removes it from the Atik means from the days, from the Sfiras. The Sfiras are called the days because the Sfira means to shine, day shines. Hashem created the world with the 6 Sfiras. So therefore, what's Kesed? Kesed has two levels in it. There's a level of Kesed that's Sheidish Hane'et Solim, which is the direct source of the world, that's called Arich Anpin, long face, because the 6 Sfiras are called Ze'er Anpin. Ze'er Anpin means a little face. Ze'ir means, in Aramaic, means short, small. And Arich, Orech, is long. So, the lower level of Keser, which is more connected to the world, is called Arich Anpin. the higher level of Kesser, which is called Pchinas Tachtoina Shebamaitzel, because when you have an intermediary that connects, the simplest mashal, a chain link, So when you have the link, this part, the higher part of the link is the bottom part of the top link.
Yes.
And then the lower, the next part of the link that goes is the higher part of the next link. Right? That's what a link is. The lowest part of the highest becomes the highest part of the lowest. So that's what it is. Ari Champin is the level of Elokus in the link that connects Hashem and world. So Atik is called Pchinas Tachtoina Shebamaitzel. Maitzel means the one that made it, Hashem. So Atik is called the lower level of Hashem, and Ari Champin is called the long face, meaning it's the source of Netzolim.
Rabbi,
What?
Atik Yomin, does Yomin refer just to the seventh word used to create the day, 7 days of creation?
No, it refers to any spheres.
All 10.
Yeah.
What is the Gilgulta in this picture?
Golgotha is the skull of the person. It's part of the person. It's not the crown on top of the person. It's part of the person, the skull that covers the brain. But that's all part of the person.
It's under the hat. It's under the...
But in relationship to the person, it's the makif level.
Oh. Higher than Chokhmah.
Yeah. Because it's on top of Chacham.
But under the Keter.
Correct.
But Chokhmah has life. The skull doesn't have life.
Skull is alive.
In a way,
Yeah. Because Chacham is more internalized. Let me ask you a question. A person wearing a crown, is the brain greater or the crown greater? No, why? It depends. Some people have no brain, they have a crown. No, but the difference is the brain is pneumius. That's internalized. It's a functioning internally. Keser, the king is represented with the crown, not with his head. When a king wants to show he's king, he wears a crown. The brain is much better than the crown, but the crown is more of a superficial level of royalty versus the brain. That's the internal, but it's not the same level of royalty. It doesn't display royalty like the crown does.
But the skull is here. How could it be makif? It's connected to the...
Yeah, but it's on top of it. That's all.
It's on top.
That's called the Galgalta. That's called the skull.
Relative
In a certain level, skin that covers the hand is greater than the hand.
relative to the hand.
Correct.
Comprehend that.
That's good, because I don't.
now you're teaching biology.
I'm not teaching. There's a story with the Rebbe Rashab. When the Rebbe Rashab liked to, when he washed for Netila, he didn't want to be disturbed until he made a meitzi. Rebbe Rashab had an older brother called Razah, but he had a younger brother by the name of Rebbe Mendel. The Rebbe Rashab had 2 brothers. He had a brother, Rebbe Mendel. He had another son. He had another brother, Avram Sender, passed away very young. And the Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek said he was in the Shalom Al Rebbe. But he had anyway, one time the Rebbe Rashab was washing, and his brother, Rebbe Mendel, came with a shocking development. He said finally when he made a mitzvah, he told them the scientists just discovered, the doctors, whoever it is, discovered that there's a part of the brain that when you look up, it helps memory. And when you look down, it helps delving. Because you see, when a person wants to remember something, they look up. It's nature of the person. See, it was a new, he went crazy from it.
Revelation, big revelation.
Big revelation. So the Rebbe Rashab told him, go to my library, take out this and this little book, Chassidus, from the middle of the Rebbe. and he opens it up, and he shows, the Mittel Rebbe writes it, it's already like 100 years before that, yeah? Mittel Rebbe writes that there's a vein in the brain that when you look up, it helps you to remember, and when you look down, it helps you to... he said, you see, the Mittel Rebbe already knew this 100 years ago, whatever. And then the Rebbe Shab said to him, don't think that the Mittel Rebbe knew biology. He didn't. He saw the way it is up there in Elokus, in the levels of Elokus, and therefore he wrote, because that, if that's the way it is Lamaila, that's the way it is Lamata. So he says not the pshat that the Mittel Rebbe was a doctor, that he, a scientist or whatever. He understood it from Elokus. So I'm not giving a biology class. I'm just saying what it says in the book about the person and the image of Hashem, the way it works by a person. That's why Hashem make it like that by a person. We should have an understanding of what the level of Cassia is by Elokus. You're going to say, okay, they had 2 crowns, yeah? You get Nasa and Ishman, then they took it away and they gave an ultimation of being 1,200,000. We would know what that means? No. But now you have an understanding what a crown is by a king, and this, and there's a level of the power of royalty and the revelation of royalty, So then we can understand what these things mean. That Seichel is higher than Midas, we know it, because my head can dictate my heart. So that's what it is. It's not the biology. Yeah, biology, but the Chassidic biology class. So he says, Cassia has 2 parts. Atik, which is Tachtein Shebamaitzel, and Arich Ampim, which is the source of Natzom world. Meaning, the lower level, which is Atik, Talmud Leimek Kodesh Oni, Kedusha Silamayl Mikdushachem, that Maitzel, which is Shamitz, is Mamshechem Bechinas Arich Ampim. Mashenken Atik, Nikra Atik Yemen, Shenetak V'nivdal Mechinas Yemen, that it's removed and separated from the Sfiris, Halavushim and Nasim Mitzvahs. So he says, the Kazem Mioish Ev Yaminas Tev, Sumei Vasi Tev, Hainu Bechinas Arich Ampim. On the other hand, the Atik Yemen is Kedushasi L'mayla Mikdushaschem. But that means like this: without Torah mitzvahs, Kedushasi is L'mayla Mikdushaschem. Without mitzvahs, Hashem is holy in us. He's Atik and we're Arich, so to speak. But when a Jew does a mitzvah, Yachol Kamaini, he says, that's the level of Bali Tshuva Eimdim. Tzaddikim can't stand there because they reach the level of B'chol Meidecha. Meaning, about Tshuva is breaking his nature. Before he sinned, and now he's breaking his nature, not sinning. That's the reason why about Tshuva is greater than a tzaddik. A tzaddik, yeah, he does a great Aveda, but it's not, that's his nature. He's not breaking his nature. Therefore, Mashiach is not Tzavad Tzadikayu B'tiyufta. Mashiach is going to get the level of Tzaddikim's Aveda, that they should break their nature as Tzaddikim. It's not Pshat Torah Avedas. They will become greater.
Shkoah.
Wow.